So in this video, I'm going to be giving you a basic rundown of how to build up a very simple piano ballad production. This video is for anyone who is intrigued. Maybe you're in the early stage of your producing career, or maybe you want to try and develop a different style of production. And in this case, it is a piano ballad. Well, if you watch this video to the end, I'm going to be giving you a full breakdown of this beat from start to finish, how I built it up, and hopefully by the end of watching this video, you will have an understanding of how to build up a very simple piano ballad production. And if you are new to this channel, by the way, make sure you smash the subscribe button, as it's the best way to support the channel. And if you are someone who's looking for new sources of inspiration for this style of music, I have the Pop Producer Piano Volume 1. This is a royalty-free sample pack of piano samples to help get you started with piano ballads and other piano pop productions. So I'll leave a link below if you want to check that out, if you want to see that at the end of the video. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into the breakdown of this beat. So for the purpose of this video, I've made a very simple piano ballad production. And what I'm going to be doing is kind of explaining the different elements that go into creating a very sort of like mellow and sad piano pop ballad, kind of like a Lewis Capaldi type beat where sometimes less is more, and that's very much the case with this production. Let's just have a listen to the production in its full glory towards the end of the production, then we're going to break it down. Again, it's a very simple production. This isn't the sort of production where it's going to get any awards for as such, but there are some basic elements here which I want to break down because it really helps create just a little more than just having a production which is just piano. So we're going to start with, firstly, the piano. Now, a lot of people ask what sort of sounds we're using when I do these sorts of videos, so I'm going to break down the elements as well, just so you know exactly what it is. So for the piano today, we are using the Compressed Pop by the Maverick. This is my go-to piano for that compressed pop sound. If you're someone who doesn't know how to get the compressed pop sound, you can equally, if you're a Logic user especially, you can just make sure you have some sort of very light reverb and a compressor. Now the compressor, you're not going to want to have it more than like 4:1 ratio, and maybe minus 25 on the threshold. This will give you a really nice pop piano sound without kind of overloading or over compressing the piano. It will just help whatever piano you use get on its way, but we're not going to use that for today. And yeah, so the piano, when it comes to making a piano ballad, the first thing you need to decide is the tempo and the key. How fast you want it to be, and for this, normally I like to use references. I use Lewis Capaldi and listen to his music as some sort of a guide and a reference of what sort of, you know, pace I wanted the production to be. And the key as well, he produces a lot of stuff in B major, so that's how I came up with that decision that I wanted to use B major as the key. So I'll just quickly play the piano. This is the first thing that I recorded in. So what I like about this is, obviously, when it comes to a piano ballad, you've got to think about the fact that you've got two hands. Obviously, you play piano with two hands. So what I've basically done for the piano is I've just had the chords on my left hand, and then a nice little kind of moving sort of progression that's happening, sustaining B major on the other one. This creates a real nice harmony. If we listen to them by themselves, if I just quickly delete these for 1 second, you can hear that all this is the first and the fifth notes on a B chord, which I'm playing because, as I said, the key is in B major. And then after that, then I put the chords in. But what's really cool is I continued to play the chord progression, which I believe was B major down to E major, and then it was G sharp minor, and then F sharp was the chords. But listen how nice the B major first and fifth, kind of like little melodic pattern, how it harmonizes with the chords. Creates a real nice like emotional feel. And you see that a lot in pop music, so definitely try that out. Whatever key you're producing in, especially if you want to do something simple, try and do that because it's going to help you a lot create a real nice sort of like harmonic sounding piano. Now we move on to the second part. Now, we can play the chords and we can change the chord progressions, but one thing I want to focus on in this video is how you can make your piano almost feel like it steps forward in the mix in the chorus to make the chorus of the track sound a lot more impactful. And there's one very super simple thing you can do with a piano to make that happen, and that is to put in a lower bass note in just the chorus. I don't actually seen this get talked about enough, but if you really want to have that real nice rich low end of a piano in the chorus but keep the verses separate so you have that development, try this out. So kind of like instead of having a bass, you play the low notes of the piano. We're talking right down the low end. But I make a separate track, and this is what it sounds like. See if you notice the difference. Just comes forward. And it happens a lot in Lewis Capaldi tracks, in pop tracks. It's a very common thing to do. Don't see enough tutorials saying it. That's why I wanted to include it in this one. Now, where it states now, because you've got multiple piano, I really want to try and create a stereo spread as much as I can. So I use sample delays normally to do that, to achieve the stereo feel of piano. We sample one of the piano tracks to the left, one of them to the right. But also because of sample delaying, the signal is coming out of both sides. So there's going to be a bit of bleed, you could kind of say it. So it creates this really nice effect, almost like you've done a stereo pair recording a live piano, which I'm going to play you the before and after so you can hear what I mean. So at this point I really recommend that you wear headphones, by the way, because it's going to help a lot for this demonstration. So this is the piano by itself, and then I'm going to put the sample delay on. It just pushes everything out to the side of the mix, just makes everything sound a lot more clean. So at this point now, you're kind of thinking, okay, what else can we add to this to make this very simple piano ballad sound even better? So the first thing I thought I would add next is some kind of moving element, something that's really going to kind of like add a little bit more of a rhythmic feel to it. So that's when I came up with adding some sort of cello in, kind of like low end, adding to like the warmth, but also a different dynamic. And a simple cello in any piano production can really be super effective for development. So, because as you can see here, this is my cello that I've added in here. I'll just call it cello. And we start with the piano, and then after 4 bars, we add the cello in. It's very simple, but it adds development to production when it's a production like this kind of piano ballad that we're breaking down today, where not a lot is going on other than the piano. So a little cello subtly in the background can do a lot of difference. And especially when it comes to the chorus, then you just have that extra thing. Very simple. For the cello, by the way, if anyone's interested to know, I'm using Omnisphere, and I love to use the Hollywood Studio string section. That's my choice of strings a lot of the time. But you can get the same desired effect using a cello out of anything else in whatever DAW you're in. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. Now, the next thing I want to do then is add a pad, because a pad, you kind of need it, because the pad creates that ambience and almost adds to the emotion of a track. So a very simple pad can go a long way to adding that final sort of little thing that's missing in a chorus, especially as there's more to develop as we go on. So I just went and I found this analog waves pad, which I'll play by itself. Just anything like that, any sort of pad, if you feel like it adds a certain flavour to the track, or it feels like it goes with the piano, why not? So when you put it in all this together, now, if you really want to get a real nice stereo sounding mix, what I would do with your pad is to add a chorus to it, and then you're going to do the following effect. You're going to do the mix on 100%, the intensity on 100%, and then you're going to put the rate to 0.03, because what this can do is this is going to put the pad right out at the sides of the mix. So this is kind of like surrounding the listener's ears. So if you've got headphones on, you'll hear this. So I'll play it by itself first. So that's without, and then with. As you can hear, it just pushes the pad out to the side of the mix. It means that the piano's got more space, more in the center of the mix, as does the cello. So the production sounds a lot wider. And then as you can hear then, for the chorus, like you want some sort of stamp for the chorus to be like, oh look, the chorus is here, so I added it in a gong. Because like I use splice for the sample, but it's just a little crash, something simple just to help really stamp the sections apart from the verse to the chorus. Now we get on to something that you can do in the second part of tracks when producing your piano ballad, and that is adding some percussion. Percussion can be a really cool aspect. Now, I found these 3 loops in Splice, which are all very simple, and you don't need to find the source as loops, but I always say on this channel, I'm very open. I love to use royalty-free samples, because I think, why not? If they're there to be used, they are tools. So I came up with this little production, blending 3 samples together. And when you listen to it, you think that might sound a bit weird and might sound a little bit like it doesn't belong in any sort of pop production, let alone a piano ballad. But When we're talking piano ballads, you almost want to be a lot more cinematic because you're trying to tell a story. And what else tells stories? Cinema, films, that sort of thing. So cinematic qualities really suit piano ballads for that very reason. So I started off with this really nice little ticking sound, like a little texture. The more little details and textures you can get into these sorts of productions, the better it's going to be. So this is really simple, tap, 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 which you think, okay, that might sound really weird, but in the whole context, it actually sounds really cool. And again, the more percussion you have in, the more that gives you to play with, dragging and dropping in certain places to add and take away from productions to create that development. Because again, with piano ballads, there's not a lot going on. So the more little ideas you can have in there, which are appearing, disappearing, and coming back again, really will help with the listening experience. Then I've got this little thumping kick. Almost like a heartbeat, very common for like the sort of heartbeat kind of generic kick to be in tracks, but it works. It's just a 4 on the floor this time round. Again, it's just a little bit of a driving thing to add a little bit of a lift to a final chorus, or again, you can also add it to other choruses. And then finally, we've got this little rhythm down thing here, which I just found. You can use like toms, but I just found this and I thought this was pretty cool. But again, you can create a similar effect is if you grab a toms from any drum kit and then you put them in a really wet reverb, you will get the same sort of sound. And you just have them really quietly in the background and it get this real nice cinematic quality coming through. So especially towards the end of a piano ballad, it just creates this final lift. So then the last thing that we just need to talk about again is kind of the structuring. So one thing I like to do with piano ballads is start as minimalist as possible, so then that gives you the chance to build and build and build throughout, so when you have the big finish. You can do any way you like. What I kind of like to do is I always like to save percussion for after the first chorus. So the first chorus can mainly just be piano, focusing on that because the piano is the main feature of the production, ignoring any vocals that might be added at a later date. So I tried to make the piano the centerpiece, and then when it gets to the second verse, that's when we can start adding little percussive elements, like sort of hinting at the idea of a big finish. And then when it gets to the second chorus, of course, then we add more production to it. And then for the bridge, sometimes I like to dip out, just give the chance, because remember, this could be a very emotional song if it's a ballad half the time. So this little bridge just before the final big chorus gives a chance for the vocalist to be intimate. So I really recommend you try keeping the bridges very like either one or the other. The bridge is either massively impactful, loads of strings, or in this case, very minimalist, just piano chords. So then when you get to the final chorus, it just hits really well. So yeah, that's basically the premise of building a piano ballad. This is a very simple production, but hopefully this production has given you an idea of where to start and how you can go about producing your own piano ballads, and I really hope this video helped. And again, if you're someone who struggles to play the piano, I do have the Pop Producer Piano Volume 1 at the moment in the sale just for £6. It's 104 royalty-free samples. If you want to check that out, it's got everything from ballad piano, grand piano, upright piano, house piano, and these are all piano loops which I've recorded with the intention of using in piano ballad productions. So link is below if you want to check that out. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you smash the subscribe button, as it's the best way to support the channel, and make sure you never miss another video like this. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Keep making music, and I'll see you in the next video.